Welcome to Right Click Academy. We're very happy to have you today at today's webinar. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sonia. I'm the Business Development Director at Right Click Solutions, and I'm happy to have Sammy Taplitz, one of our owners, with us today as well. I wish to give you a little background on how this effort came about. October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and for the past 3 years, we've been offering educational workshops in October as champions of National Cybersecurity Alliance. The success of these workshops inspired us to create Right Click Academy during our milestone 15-year anniversary. This is the last of our quarterly webinar series, which focused on educating our business community on trending topics in technology. Today's session is about 45 minutes, and if we have any questions, we'll take them through the chat. The theme of this webinar is cybersecurity exposure. Experts project that online fraud is likely to grow, and the use of security applications and services will be a crucial resource in how we operate now and in the future. Today's topic will give an in-depth understanding of the process a cybercriminal will take to obtain your credentials and sensitive information, and what will happen once you're compromised. We'll talk about security and mitigation and how you can take defense against a cyber attack. Our goal is that you better comprehend your cybersecurity exposure and the security services we recommend to keep you safe from cyber threats. Let's start by hearing what people from all different industries are saying about cybersecurity. There is no silver bullet to cybersecurity. A layered defense is the only viable defense. This is from James Scott, Senior Fellow and co-founder of the Institute for Critical Infrastructure Technology. And at Right Click Solutions, we take a layered approach to providing security solutions to our clients. A combination of security tools that is right for one organization may not be a good fit for another. That said, all organizations should subscribe to some compilation of security services to ensure they have protection. As we've come to realize, the idea that security starts and ends with the purchase of a prepackaged firewall is simply misguided. This was from Art Whitman, VP of Technology, Media, and Telecom at Informa. And this quote has a similar message, that one service will not be the most complete solution. Organizations have vast needs based on their process, their data, equipment, and several other components. A holistic approach to securing your business will provide the best defense. There are only two types of companies, those that have been hacked and those that will be hacked. This was from Director of the FBI, Robert Mueller. And Agent Mueller said this back in 2012. He was certainly right about it. But does a hack need to lead to disaster for your company? Not necessarily. If properly protected, even if you sustain a cyber attack, you can recover, and in many cases, avoid or mitigate the damage. Every case involving cybercrime that I've been involved in, I'd never found a master criminal sitting somewhere in Russia or Hong Kong or Beijing. It always ends up that somebody at the company did something they weren't supposed to do. This quote comes from Frank Abagnale, former American fraudster. And this is straight from the mouth of a con artist. So if anyone remembers the movie Catch Me If You Can with Leo DiCaprio, that was based on Frank Abagnale's life. According to Abagnale, he began conning people and passing bad checks when he was 15 years old. And during his teens and early 20s, he was arrested multiple times and convicted and imprisoned in both the United States and Europe. He is an expert on how to commit fraud. Today, Abagnale is a member of the board of editors for bank fraud and IT security, as well as the Financial Fraud Law Report. Passwords are like underwear. You don't let people see them. You should change them often, and you shouldn't share them with strangers. This comes from Chris Perillo, Variety Streamer. And I think this is my favorite, no explanation necessary. But maybe you will think of this quote every time you enter your password into a login and think, maybe it's time to change it. So as you can see, many of these quotes refer to having a composable approach to cybersecurity and layering the security services to create the ideal protection. For many years now, RightClick has promoted cyber threat education as the groundwork for your organization's security plan. We have found that once a foundation of cyber threat educated staff is achieved, the additional layers of security solutions are more effective. As champions of National Cybersecurity Alliance, we support the awareness of online safety, privacy, and recognizing cybersecurity is critical in combating crippling cyber crimes for businesses and individuals alike. Now, there are many avenues to cyber criminals will take, but since 91% of the time, phishing emails are behind successful cyber attacks, let's take a close look at this tactic. Phishing has been around since the mid-90s, and the first ever malicious emails of its kind being discovered in 1995. This now notorious cyber threat rose to global fame in 2000 with the infamous love bugs virus spread. The email it came from contained an attachment claiming to be a love letter, which tricked a lot of people into opening it. And believe it or not, hackers are still using similar techniques today. Simply put, phishing is very hard to combat because it relies on deception. While systems can be beefed up with layers of defense, which in fact weed out much of the nefarious actors, being educated on how to identify a phishing email and how not to fall for one is the best defense. 8 educational videos produced by the National Cybersecurity Alliance. And not only do they have great content, they're also pretty entertaining. We highly recommend you view them with your staff, friends, family, and colleagues. And to make it easy for you, we've created a playlist on our YouTube channel with all 8 videos called RightClick Solutions Presents Cybersecurity from NCSA. Data breaches, phishing attacks, malware, and ransomware at all types of organizations are continuously rising cyber concerns. But understanding the anatomy of a cyber attack can help us find methods to potentially reduce the impact. First, let's take a look at why we're so susceptible. There is a lot of misinformation floating around regarding cybersecurity that often leads us to believe that we are not susceptible to cyber attacks. Here are some of the more common myths debunked. Myth number 1, this can only happen to me. Only important or rich people are targeted. This security myth is often referred to as security through obscurity. In other words, some folks think that the internet is such a big place that no one cares about you. And even if someone were to try to attack your systems, there wouldn't be valuable data to be stolen. This is wishful thinking because it's not about how important you are and it's nothing personal. Cyber criminals use automated tools to exploit your system's vulnerabilities, and they'll take anything they can get from your personal information to your internet connected system. Yes, even that is a valuable asset since they can use it for further malicious acts. So even if you think you're not important or your personal or financial data is insignificant, a potential identity theft or IT criminal can still exploit the little information discovered about you. As long as you have a digital identity, you are a valuable target. Myth number 2, if I install this security application, I'll be fine. You can also call this security myth the search for the magic bullet that will solve all your system's security. Users that purchase and install security software expect their system to now be bulletproof. The myth represents a false narrative by marketing and PR security products. They create an impression that everything is taken care of with a single program. But the truth is that no security solution is bulletproof. As we mentioned, we should all start with education as the foundation and then build off of that to create a complete security solution. Myth number 3, I don't need security software because I don't go to unsafe locations. And this is the smarter than a cyber crook myth. It refers to people who claim they don't need anti-malware protection because they are too smart to fall for the tricks used by cyber criminals. The truth is, many people believe that simple common sense is enough to stay safe from malware, phishing, identity theft, and so on. And if they're thinking about spam emails, attachments, or clicking on intrusive pop-up ads, they might be right. But what about malware attacks and vulnerabilities that are not visible? Cyber attackers can exploit safe websites and insert malware into their ads, furthermore into your system. You can access a safe, perfectly legitimate website that doesn't even require you to click on something and still get infected. Thus, the need for security software. Myth number 4, I set strong and complex passwords to my account, so I'm going to be okay. Using a strong password is always recommended, so don't skip this essential step. But having a strong password isn't enough to keep cyber criminals away. It's just one of the many security layers that will keep you safe. Passwords should have at least 15 characters, be both upper and lowercase, and have a combination of various numbers and symbols. Set a random one so that it's even more difficult for someone to try to break it. Next security measure, your password should always be unique. Don't reuse them between accounts. Otherwise, if a cyber crook has access to all of your digital assets just by breaching one of those accounts. Then make sure you're using multi-factor authentication wherever it is available. Many applications include this as a feature and you can turn it on, but it's also available as a standalone service that can protect multiple application logins. Myth number 5, I only open emails from friends, so I'm safe. This is a perfectly valid argument until you find out that you were tricked and an email that just appeared to be from someone you know wasn't actually. How many of us have received a strange email from a friend or work colleague? It's not difficult to spoof an email in order to display anyone's name as being the sender. For someone who's less trained in detecting suspicious emails, all it takes is one click before getting infected with malware. Such emails may also appear to be coming from a financial institution. They can look real enough to trick you into giving away your sensitive information. Myth number 6, my social networks are safe places. Friends will be friends. Are you sure about that? When a social network becomes popular, you can bet cyber crooks will be there. They can smell the potential new victims. And since so many people are easily connected, scammers target these networks. If online criminals can place malicious content like drive-by downloads and pop-up ads on safe websites, they can do the same on social media accounts. Another danger encountered on a social media account is posed by fake profiles created by cybercriminals. These are used to collect personal information about others. That information might seem irrelevant to you, but it can lead to identity theft. Therefore, be very careful about who you add to your friends list. And finally, the myth number 7, in case I get infected, I will see that for sure. Not necessarily. In the past, when computers started to run slow and get annoying pop-ups all over them, it was a sure sign of infection. But nowadays, cyber criminals improve their methods. They're more efficient and they know how to disguise their attacks. In most cases, users can tell if their systems are involved in a spam campaign or coordinated distributed denial of service attack. Malware is built to be undetectable and untraceable, even by some antivirus software. It may be days before you even notice. So install a good antivirus product, preferably one with EDR technology that will roll back your device to pre-infected state, and one that is regularly updated to scan for the latest threats. Also, use email security, stay up to date on the latest operating system, and always back it up. Let's get a basic understanding of the 4 stages of a malicious attack. The first stage, the reconnaissance stage. Here, hackers will use any means available to find vulnerabilities which they can attempt to exploit. They'll use open source information like LinkedIn or Facebook, domain name management search services, and social media. Once they have their targets, they begin the delivery stage, which can include sending phishing emails containing malicious websites or links, attachments which contain malicious code, giving an infected USB stick away at a trade fair, or creating a false website in the hope that a user will visit. Then they enter the breach stage. The harm will depend on the nature of the vulnerability and the exploitation method. It may allow them to make changes that affect your system's operation or gain access to online accounts. They could also achieve full control of the user's computer, tablet, or smartphone, or gain access to other systems and information. And once that target is breached, they move into the effect stage, where the attacker may seek to explore your systems and expand their access by establishing a persistence presence. They could forward emails so that they can scour them for opportunities to gain monetarily, or they can retrieve information that they wouldn't otherwise be able to access, like intellectual property or commercially sensitive information. They can make changes for their own benefits, like creating payments into a bank account that they control. And they can just disrupt normal business operations. They can overload the organization's internet connection so that they can't communicate externally, or even delete a whole operating system from a user's computer. And now that we've gone over those steps, let's dive deeper into how a cyber criminal might perpetrate a crime. In this illustration, we have a gentleman named Trey who works for Wisco Inc. in their accounts payable department. Wisco Inc. leases heavy equipment to farmers in the Midwest. They purchase items like tractors, combines, and harvesters valued at $25,000 to $75,000. When a purchase takes place, payment is made via a bank transfer using a link. As you can see, Trey has a number of different accounts. He's got an email account using Outlook. It's trey@wiscoinc.com. He also has a personal email account using Gmail. He has 5 other accounts, including Amazon, UPS, Nordstrom Rack, United Healthcare, and a LinkedIn where he has an updated profile. Now, on several of these accounts, Trey is using the same password. Based on this information, let's get into the mind of a hacker and go through the steps we just discussed to see if Trey is a good candidate for exploitation and how this might happen. In the reconnaissance stage, Trey's LinkedIn profile might give the hacker information on his position within the company. And as an employee who deals with money, he's a prime target. Once identified as a good mark, the hacker could then make use of the About Us page for wiscoinc.com to determine Trey's work email address. If it's not posted, he could probably figure it out because most companies have a pattern to their email addresses, like first name initial, full last name @wiscoinc.com, or full first name and last initial @wiscoinc.com. You can see how this would not be hard to figure out. But what could really be done with just knowing Trey's work email address and his position? Well, in the delivery stage, a hacker can send a meaningful phishing email to Trey to try to obtain his credentials. Let's face it, pretty much everyone has an Amazon account that stores a boatload of information about us. A hacker may start with a phishing email informing Trey that his Amazon credentials have been compromised, asking him to click a link and enter his ID and password to initiate a recess. Now, if Trey falls for this, the hacker has his Amazon credentials and he can place orders and use the account as he sees fit. But likely, the hacker won't do this. He'll use the credentials to see if he can crack Trey's work email account, because that is much more valuable than a few items he might be able to get away with purchasing on the Amazon account. And in fact, Trey is using the exact same password for his Amazon and his work email account. So he's made it pretty easy. For this example, in the breach stage, the hacker will gain access to Trey's work email account. And in the effect stage, he'll change the email settings to forward all of Trey's emails into the hacker's own account. This will allow him to review each of Trey's emails until he finds an email that he can exploit for financial gains. As you can see, Trey has negotiated the purchase of some heavy equipment with John Lindy over at Holt AG Solutions. Likely, there were other email communications on the sale that the hacker was privy to. And in fact, Trey and John agreed upon the sale of a combine for $72,000. Once John Lindy sends the email with the bank transfer link, it's game on for the hacker. And the end result is the hacker intercepting the email with a legitimate link for the bank transfer from John Lindy and replacing it with a phony. If we look closely and compare these two emails, we can see that although the sending profile looks identical, the hacker used an email address that was one character different than John's legitimate email address. And the link, well, it's likely to an offshore account that will be closed within minutes of the transfer. The tactic used is called email spoofing. Email spoofing is the fabrication of an email header in the hopes of duping a recipient into thinking the email originated from a legitimate source. Because core email protocols don't have built-in method of authentication, this is a commonplace for spam and phishing emails to use spoofing to trick the recipient into trusting the origin of the message. In this case, Trey is expecting the email from the vendor, and he's much less likely to scrutinize the details because of that. If Trey is not educated on what to look for a phishing email, or if Wisco Inc. doesn't have a security policy in place, he will likely fall for it, and his company will be out $72,000 that they will not be able to recover. Unfortunately, this may not be the end of it for Trey and Wisco Inc. What if the hacker has access to Trey's system and was able to infiltrate onto the company network? He could then take control of more systems and steal sensitive data, possibly disrupt normal operation or worse. And what about cyber insurance? Well, most cyber insurance policies require companies to have security services in place, like email security or multi-factor authentication, as well as formal cyber threat education for their staff. If Trey and Wisco Inc. had any of these protections in place, the scenario might have come to an end before the funds were lost. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over to Sammy to present a few real-life examples.
Thank you, Sonia. Unfortunately, we do have many real-life examples, and I will start with this particular case study of real cybercrime examples. So back in 2017, one of our clients received an email regarding a payment for services. She inadvertently clicked the link within the email in an effort to determine what the payment was for, and realized that she had just transferred $50,000 to an untraceable offshore account. The business was unable to recover those funds. Email security solutions will quarantine the majority of suspicious emails, but some can slip through the cracks. Thus, the importance of layering solutions like email security and cyber threat education. Excuse me. Had this client been educated on what to look for in a phishing email by attending one of our annual webinars or following our tips in our monthly newsletters and social media posts, or subscribing to cyber threat education, this could have been avoided. With email security services, cyber threat education, and good email hygiene, the outcome of the case study could have been very different. Here are the red flags to look for in an email-borne threat. Sonia, can I turn it over to you?
Sure thing. So watch out for overly generic content and greetings. Cyber criminals will send to large batch emails. So look for things like "Dear valued customer" or "Gentleman" or "Gentlewoman." Also, notice misspellings, incorrect grammar, or odd phrasing. This might be deliberate to attempt to avoid or bypass spam and email services. Examine the entire email address. The first part of the email address may be legitimate, but the last part, the domain part, might be one letter off or one character off or one number off. Check for secure websites. So any web page that you enter your personal information should have a URL that is secure. So it should say HTTPS. The S stands for secure. Look for urgency or demanding actions. So look for things like phrases that say, "You won, click here to redeem your prize," or "We have your browser history, pay now," or "We're telling your boss." Don't click on attachments right away, and carefully check all links. So attachments can contain viruses, Links can also bring you to websites that are illegitimate and can also download malware. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you. And once again, through email correspondence by a nefarious actor, a client of ours mistakenly downloaded an attachment that contained some ransomware. The ransomware program propagated to the server, rendering it and all of the data on it inaccessible until the ransom was paid. The hacker demanded thousands of dollars to return it to a functioning state. This left the organization with two choices: pay the ransom or rely on right-click to fix the issue. Fortunately, this client subscribed to a business continuity and disaster recovery solution, which gave them the ability to operate as normal within an hour of the disruption without any loss of data. This client was able to resume normal operation just hours after the attack. And had they chosen not to subscribe to the business continuity disaster recovery solution, it could have taken many days of costly downtime to rebuild the entire server and domain, restore the data from the last data backup, as well as reconfigure all workstations on the network. In the past year, we've had 16 clients sign on to our dark web monitoring services and have seen over 1,100 dark web compromises. This service uses artificial intelligence and algorithms as well as human oversight to detect domain credential compromises. This service provides daily dark web scanning of logins on your organization's domain, and if any login is spotted, we are notified. For example, if the login ID is tom@rcsllc.net and the password is right-click123, for the website techdistributors.com is found on the dark web, we would be alerted and then work with Tom to take action so that the risk of any further action by a hacker is prevented. The knowledge of a dark web compromise gives our clients a big advantage over being victimized by a cyber criminal. At the time a compromise is detected, preventative and mitigating action is the best defense to protect you and your business from cyber threats. And in our humble opinion, we have thwarted over 1,100 cyber attacks in the last year alone. Yay, right click.
Thank you, Sammy. Okay, so now let's take a look at the suite of security services that we provide. As you can see from the examples, a critical part of staying safe online is to be educated and to practice good cybersecurity. In addition to good best practices, we highly recommend you implement layers of security solutions for your organization. Now, keep in mind, we have clients who have implemented all of these services and some who have chosen a combination of services. We can consult with you on which layers of security services provide the best solution for your specific needs. For those of you working remotely, we recommend using a VPN or virtual private network to create a protected connection before engaging in work-related computing. The VPN encrypts your internet traffic and disguises your online identity, making it more difficult for third parties to track your activities online and steal your data. A firewall is a network security system that monitors and controls incoming and outgoing network traffic based on predetermined security rules. A firewall establishes a barrier that can help protect your network by filtering traffic and blocking outsiders from gaining unauthorized access to the private data on your computer or server. Not only does a firewall block unwanted traffic, it also helps block malicious software from infecting the endpoints on your network. Firewalls come with licensing for services that are continuously updated and to detect the most recent and advanced cyber threats. We highly recommend the use of antivirus software designed for the removal, prevention, and monitoring of viruses, coupled with EDR or endpoint detection and response. EDR is a cyber technology that uses artificial intelligence to detect and prevent both current and emergent threats continually. EDR monitors and responds to mitigate cyber threats as well as rolling back devices to their pre-infected state. Multi-factor authentication services strengthens access security to your applications or company data by requiring 2 methods to verify your identity. MFA protects against phishing, social engineering, and password brute force attacks, and secures your logins from attackers exploiting weak or stolen credentials. Recovery operations for software as a service, or SaaS, cloud-based applications like Office 365 and G Suite may be incomplete, complicated, time-consuming, or just plain unavailable. It's a common misconception that your email account is being backed up. SaaS Protection Services secures our clients' cloud data, making it readily available for the restoration of current files, emails, contacts, and sites in the state they were in before a deletion, infection, or outage. Similar to personal identity theft protection like LifeLock, dark web monitoring services alerts us to organizational domain compromises so that we can work together on taking mitigating action to prevent a breach. Being aware of a dark web compromise helps our clients get in front of being victimized by a cyber criminal. Taking preventative steps at the time a compromise is detected is the best approach to defend you and your business from cybercrime. Cybercrime education is crucial to determining if a quarantine email, website, or a link is genuine, and we highly recommend our customers educate their staff on what to look for. Our dark web monitoring solution has an optional feature that can send simulated phishing emails randomly to staff and report back on their performance. These emails mimic ransomware, malware, phishing, email spoofing, imposter emails, and more. And if your staff falls victim, they are perfectly benign. A click on a link or attachment in a simulation will result in an educational video pointing out the warning signs and red flags. Our comprehensive set of business continuity and disaster recovery tools reduces downtime and data loss, and more importantly, rapidly recovers server data if disaster strikes. It solidifies the last line of defense against ransomware attacks to ensure our customers' data is secure. If you cannot be without your data and systems, we highly recommend this solution. As we said, the primary avenue to deliver malware, ransomware, and other viruses is email. We all have spam filters that come with our email, but this feature often falls short. Email security services minimizes potential threats by quarantining suspicious emails so that they can be thoroughly inspected for legitimacy. Emails, attachments, links, and contents are scanned for the latest email-borne cyber threats. In addition, if you deal with sensitive data, you can take advantage of an encryption option, which ensures that the data is masked as it is delivered to your recipient. And I just want to mention that when you implement firewall services, antivirus software, and email security, as part of their services, the solutions are continuously updated with patches as new threats arise in order to give you the latest cybercrime protection. By providing a composable or customizable setup, we empower our customers to rearrange, reorient, and enhance their technology as needed, allowing them to be responsive and resilient. We have the expertise to evaluate your current security plan and make suggestions on how it can be improved for increased defense against cyber threats. Thank you for joining us today. For any questions on the services we offer, or if you'd like to consult with any of us, give us a call and we can provide more information or schedule a meeting to discuss in more detail. We'll be posting this session in the coming days on Right Click Academy page on our website. So please tell your friends and colleagues to check it out. On that page, you can view all of this year's Right Click Academy webinars. Thank you again and have a great day.